Welcome to Kelly and Company, and on today's show, a new documentary series on AMI TV, Get Hooked, is an invitation to explore diverse joy in nature and redefine what it means to fish. We learn more with co-creator of the show, Heidi Lynch. Folks, I'm curious, are you fishing for some good topics? We got them right here.
This is Kelly and Company.
Settling in for a show with lots of great content and, of course, fantastic conversation. Kelly MacDonald here with Nisreen Abdul-Majid, right there sharing the screen with me. Good day to you. Happy Tuesday.
Good day. Happy Tuesday. And I love the way you said, we got them.
Oh,
we do.
Man, all sorts. We've got, and we always do. I have to boast because we're always about, good conversations. Sometimes you look and say, wow, do these fit together on this show? And so many times everything fits together as we get a chance to see what's going on in our world. We'll talk about Parasport Nation a little later on as well, see what those guys have in store as we work our way through a week right here on Kelly and Company. Do me a favor though. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co. AMI. Always love to hear from you. Nisreen interacts with you out there. If you send any messages, have questions, comments to the things that she posts out there, and we always invite the conversation. That's at Kelly & Co. AMI on Instagram and Twitter.
This isn't your dad's fishing show. A thought-provoking and barrier-breaking a new 6-part documentary series, Get Hooked, is an invitation to explore diverse joy in nature and redefine what it means to fish. Get Hooked follows a Canadian angling guide per episode, sharing their use of fishing as a lifeline for mental well-being with a group of queer, comedic outsiders set against the backdrop of breathtaking Ontario landscapes. The series also asks a crucial question: why isn't this access available to everyone? Heidi Lynch is the co-creator of Get Hooked. Welcome, Heidi.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. Heidi, start by telling us the inspiration behind the show. How did it come about?
Yeah, so my partner is an actress, and it's a high-stress job. And she has always liked fishing, but she got extra into it during COVID and got all of her friends roped into it. And we would go to these fishing ponds in the north of the UK, 5 o'clock in the morning with one eye open, me being like, what are we doing? Why are we here? And the ponds were populated by 50 to 60-year-old white straight men. And, we didn't really interact. It was kind of like these two groups around the pond that weren't really connecting. But throughout the day, as my friends started to catch fish, the men would come over and say like, oh, what bait you using? And they would start to interact. And by the end of the day, we were cheering each other on. And me as the producer, writer brain, was just sitting there like, oh my God, is fishing going to save the world? Like, these people wouldn't normally make friends with each other randomly in public. So I was like, oh, but if I think this is cool, it's probably already exists. So I was looking into the world of content, and it was all very bro-heavy fishing shows, like the ones we've all seen our whole lives, listened to, experienced. And there was a hole in the market for something like Get Hooked. So I started to research the most diverse, different anglers in Ontario, where I'm from, the place that I love to showcase. And I just wanted to find people that I've never seen or heard of on the cover of a fishing magazine.
Yeah, I find it amazing when you talk about the different groups. But what I think is so cool to have people walk over and that interaction, because I think fishing generally is such a solitary thing. You sit, do it on your own. If you have somebody you're fishing with, you're still quiet. You'll scare the fish away. And that kind of attitude with it. I first love the idea that you guys were over in the UK, finding these places to fish, getting into these conversations. And of course, as a creator, you just bing, what could I do with this? And Heidi, I bet there's other sports activities that people do that we know we've pigeonholed into, well, that's for this person, that's for this type of person, which is obviously we're beyond all that or should be beyond all that. So really wonderful that you found this hole. I'm curious as to, when we talk about the program, we're very proud of Ontario. We know there's so many beautiful places just to go visit, let alone fish. Can we talk about that investigation and showing off so many great fishing holes, locations? This is a video dream, isn't it, with the sites and stuff that can be shown and described?
Definitely. I also will say the sound design of the show is epic. We wanted it to be a sensory experience, so anyone experiencing the show, whether they're watching it or listening to it or hearing it described, will feel the mental health benefits of being surrounded by that nature experience during the show. But basically my starting point was I found the people, the humans first. So I found really interesting Ontario fishing enthusiasts on the internet and connected with them and pre-interviewed them for 2 years. And then they were my guides. So I said, what's the spot? Where should we fish with you? And they were really the guide for me as well in terms of our locations. So we fish at the Madawaska River, which was a suggestion by our Indigenous consultant in episode 1 named Christine Lukasavich. Demisha, who's the fishing guide from Brown Girl Outdoor World in episode 1, she loves Algonquin Park, and I spent all my summers in Algonquin growing up. But Christine pointed us to the Madawaska River specifically, and it's beautiful. And then Arnprior, Ontario is where we fish with Dave Fergach, who's a blind angler. And we went right to his home. He lives right on the river there, which was very cool.
Very nice.
And then Petrie Island is where we fished with Frank Laney in episode 3, who is an Indigenous addictions counselor. And he kayak fishes there and takes people kayak fishing there to help them rehabilitate. And episode 4 is a secret location on the Ottawa River, because we went with a muskie guide who does not want the location shared, top secret.
Cool.
Wow.
And episode 5 is in Bowmanville Creek, which is not far from Toronto. And episode 6 is on Toronto Island, because for episode 5 and 6, we really wanted to show urban fishing, demystify that barrier that you have to have enough money to have a car and to rent a cottage and to get out of the city to go fishing. There's
and those of us in the
really
disability
cool
community,
fishing.
that speaks so large to us in that sense of, hey, I could get on the Toronto ferry and go over and find that fishing place if I wanted.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is accessible, but we need to be having these conversations so that people know it's accessible and they feel safe and they can talk to someone else who's done it or see how it's done or hear about how it's done and have a guide in the experience so they feel safe.
Wow.
I'm
Can you
curious about the
tell
mental.
us some...
Go ahead. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Sorry.
I'll ask my question in a second.
I was going to ask, can you tell us about some guests that are featured in season 1?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Demisha Dennis from Brown Girl Outdoor World. She teaches the visitors how to fly fish. We have Christine Lukasavich, who shows us her favorite woods to walk through and explains which trees were used in the making of canoes. And canoes are an Indigenous technology. That the UK visitors don't know about. So we're trying to, through the POV of these visitors, we're trying to help Ontarians and Canadians see their home anew, because it's just an epically beautiful place to live. I'm very grateful to be from here. Episode 2, we're with Dave Fergach, who's an Arnprior local who organizes the bait tournament, the Blind Anglers International Tournament. And we go fishing with him and his buddy Rick out in boats. It's a very beautiful day we had with them. And then Frank Laney, like I mentioned, is episode 3. And we go kayak fishing with him. Episode 4 has Lisa Goodyear, who's one of a very small group of female muskie guides in Ontario. We had the most women she's ever had on her boat that day, she said.
Nice.
And then episode 5 is Kenneth C., who's a science teacher. He's a life lister. And so that means he doesn't care how big the fish is. He wants to catch the largest range of species is more interesting to him. And then episode 6, the outsiders, the Brits, they pass their knowledge forward that they gained from all of these Ontario guides to one of their own. And that happens to be the amazing UK comedian Rosie Jones. So they teach her how to fish for the first time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us about, please, our UK visitors that come to Ontario. I love the device of having it as a person needing audio description. What a nice natural way to put in that embedded audio description for us by having the lessons taught to us, Ontario, Canadians, wherever, because the show is appearing around the world in different places, my understanding too, how we can learn so much via these strangers and the voices, their questions and answers that we get.
Yeah, it's the IDV technology is really interesting with AMI, and this show was such a cool vehicle for it, because when you have someone who's learning something new, we get to hear the whole range of the experience, you know, and they're very, very in love with fishing, so they had a lot of great questions.
That's perfect. The mental health piece. I love, we were talking before we went to air, and you talked about making the shooting days really kind of convenient for everyone, to give people their breaks and stuff like that, because you did have a very tight on-camera shooting schedule of 12 days to get the 6 episodes done. Absolutely, fedoras off to you guys. That's really cool. But what I am curious about is the people that you interacted with on the show. Was there discussions as to how that being on the water, the quiet, the being away from the city, the things that lend themselves in a lot of people's minds to helping with their mental health? What were some of the things that these folks said? I mean, I got to assume a lot were from the areas you went to shoot in. They knew them well, could take you to those spots. But I wondered how many might have been transported from somewhere else to there and fell in love with that area that they were in for multiple reasons, including mental health.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the whole team felt it. I got to produce from a kayak in episode 3. You know, when you work in film and TV and you're used to being on location or in a studio, sometimes you literally don't see the daylight for 15 hours that day. You know, and it was the most beautiful season is autumn in Ontario. And all of us working on the show got to, you know, feel the wind go through the trees and feel the sun on our skin. You know, that sparkly water reflecting everywhere. You know, I think we all felt it. But it was, I just felt real pride getting to watch these visitors from somewhere else fall in love with our incredible vistas that we have accessible to us, and the people, you know, connect, and they have deep chats like you can when you're fishing, when it's quiet and you're in that more meditative state, you're in the moment, we're off our screens, we're more connected to what it means to be an animal. And I think that connection is also so good for our mental health, to be reminded that we are a tiny speck in a very big network. I think it was good for all of us.
Now I feel guilty for always being the loud family at a park beside the lake.
And you should.
No peace.
That's great.
While fishing, we'd get the looks from people that are fishing. Can you tell
Don't
us
scare my fish.
I know. Yeah, we get the looks, just the stares, just for us to be quiet, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work on us. We're too big of a family. But can you tell us some diversity and inclusion representation on screen?
Yeah, I mean, it's just what I've sort of explained already. Sort of everyone a part of the show are people you've never seen on the cover of a fishing magazine. So that was definitely a goal from the onset. But I will say, like, we were also just looking for the best people for the job. And those things are not mutually exclusive. Get Hooked is a great example of diversity meeting merit. And they're not mutually exclusive. You know, we have like incredibly dynamic, wonderful, very skilled, knowledgeable human beings who are good at teaching and guiding that happen to be diverse.
Absolutely tremendous. Wow, Heidi, it sounds exciting, not to mention fun, but mostly you can have your fun, you can have your work that needs to get done, but so much built-in time, as you said, to talk, to relax, to learn about fishing. So whatever you're interested in when it comes to fishing, you get it in these 6 episodes.
For sure. And it's also like, if you don't fish, you'll still get something from it. I'm not an angler, so I wanted to make a show for everybody. It might inspire you to try fishing if you never have. But it's about the people, it's about the human stories, and it's about being in nature.
Nice. Do you think this will really reflect well in the other markets outside of Canada? It's being shown in New Zealand, Australia, so many different places around the world. What are your thoughts and viewpoints and hopes for what they take away?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they all want to come to Ontario,
Nice.
That's what I hope.
I love that. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you.
It was so much fun.
Take
we
care.
learned a lot, and it was a
Awesome.
great conversation.
Good luck with the show.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for the time.
Heidi Lynch is the co-creator of Get Hooked. Get Hooked debuts Monday, March 24th at 9 p.m. Eastern on AMI TV. Episodes can be streamed anytime on amiplus.ca.
Fishing's a lot of fun. I'm not a yank the fish off the line person. I'm afraid I'll grab in the wrong spot, but definitely enjoy it.
I think I'm a very impatient person.
You couldn't do the sitting and waiting?
I tried, okay, and I never caught a fish. Let me just point that out.
You need to go to a stock pond where you don't have to wait and you'll catch.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen,
But you
because
gotta
I'm
pay
a
for
very
that.
impatient person. I don't see myself waiting for hours just fishing. I know my cousins do it, and they always catch fish, and they're very patient. They'll be just chilling on the boat, and yeah, it's fun for them, but I would get impatient.
What I always hated was the walk in and walk out, and I didn't even ask Heidi about, it's so great, producing, directing from the boat, sitting in the, but then I thought, yeah, but all those sitting times, September, sometimes some of those mosquitoes and black flies are still hanging around and still, chasing you down depending where you go. That in itself would have been a great thing to get into. I want to talk about a little article here. It's called Man Fooling Car Ignition Lock. This is Matthew Trivisic from CBC News, Southwest Ontario, down in London here, actually. Aaron Hagee of Bruce County, Ontario, says he's frustrated at social media video of a man appearing to trick an alcohol ignition lock, allowing him to actually drive drunk. This wasn't taken down after Hagen reached out to Meta with concerns that it encouraged impaired driving. This video, which had over 5 million views and nearly 20,000 likes, showed a man sitting behind the wheel of a vehicle, swigging from a bottle, using a leaf blower to trick the device, and then starting the car ignition. Ignition interlock devices require an actual driver to prove sobriety with a breath sample before being able to start the vehicle. In Ontario, they're mandatory in vehicles of people convicted of impaired driving or suspended for impaired driving, or suspended for impaired driving offenses within, I think you have to have 3 of them within 10 years. Meta says new rules prioritize freedom of expression, but even civil liberty advocates have mixed feelings on this. Now, Hagen received a message back from Facebook, and it said, Aaron Hagen, Meta's community standards say it prohibits the facilitation, organization, promotion, or admission of certain criminal or harmful activities by users, and prohibits coordinating, threatening, supporting, or admitting to vandalism, theft, or malicious hacking, with exceptions. I don't know what the heck that means, with exceptions.
What's
so
up
far
with
in this
exceptions?
Yeah, always. I take quite exception to it altogether. This is amazing. I mean, a leaf blower, maybe I totally understand how that could work. Maybe I know nothing about it. But I find the response from Meta just... And again, what are they going to say except, well, that's just somebody... For all we know, that's really a stunt. Yes, obviously it can be proven if it works. And I know the companies who make these things aren't stupid. They probably understand
Yeah.
that. Well, if someone turns a
They
fan
thought about
towards it,
this.
you're bringing all sorts of fresh air in or whatever. So who knows? And they probably would consider it meta, basically just some kind of cartoon stunt, like just somebody being silly. Interesting.
Yeah.
The Eric Gumshoe of of Mad Canada, he's their actual legal director, says they don't just give these things out for the hell of it. It's because this person has a problem with alcohol and with driving. Gumshoe says the fact that you would try and get around it, knowing that you only have this because you have a problem, is disappointing but not surprising. And Hagen said,
It's sad.
It is, and Hagen says there's not enough being done to curb this drinking and driving. He says in Bruce County, when he is on the road, he often finds occasionally beer cans on the side of the road, showing that people are just not getting or taking the message or caring about it. So really kind of sad when you see this kind of stuff going on. Niz, your thoughts before we move on to Alex?
Oh, I was just gonna say that it's absolutely sad. I mean, it happens on a daily basis, and for this to happen and for people to continue doing this, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
But as they said, not surprising.
5 million, and you just wonder how many things are out there like that. You kind of just fit into where, oh well, that's just somebody trying something to fool people. Who knows? And again, you can't keep on top necessarily of all of it, even though some of these things,
can't.
the algorithm
It's unrealistic.
is pretty. Yeah, and the algorithm's good. We know ourselves from times you get caught for this and that, and you say, "What the heck are you bothering me for that for?" That's not offensive, rude, or vulgar, or teaching someone anything that's bad. But you just never know. And when you find out, hey, they're just happy. Look at all the hits on that video, folks. You can email us at kellyco@ami.ca. Nazreen, thank you very much. We will talk at you tomorrow, and we move on, ladies and gentlemen, to Parasport Nation. Okay, Alex Smythe is the host of the program, and we appreciate him joining us right now because on Parasport Nation, he, as the host, spotlights upcoming parasport events in Canada and abroad, pulls back the curtain on how parasports are played, and interviews parasport athletes, coaches, and trainers. Alex, it's a big Tuesday show because you got a big week of people on the show. Let's start there. Welcome back, and what's going on today?
So as you mentioned, it's a big week. We're focused in today on blind hockey because this weekend in Toronto, there is the Canadian National Blind Hockey Tournament. So we have Canadian Blind Hockey's program director, Luca DeMontis, on the show. He's setting everything up, giving a bit of a tease for the weekend and some of the things that are going to be happening in the coverage there, including AMI's coverage that I'll be a part of this weekend, covering all the great action on the ice at the Mattamy Center in Toronto.
Tell us about your coverage. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, so on Sunday, there's going to be the bronze and gold medal matches. AMI is going to be on the ground. We're going to provide play-by-play coverage on AMI audio with Nico Cardarelli and Mike Ross, friend of the show, very familiar voices, both of them. So you'll be experiencing that at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You'll have back-to-back bronze medal match, gold medal match. Then after the two matches, it will be a PSN special coverage of the games, the post games, wrapping up the entire weekend. We're going to have interviews. It'll be myself, Jeff Ryman, producer of the show, friend of this show as well, and Mike Ross. We're going to be breaking down all the action from the weekend. That will also air on YouTube at a later date as well, so people can check it out either on AMI Audio, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, or at a later date on YouTube.
Wow. Talk about some amazing coverage. Now, you'll be down there. If people want to look for you, Alex, are you there Friday, Saturday at all?
So I'm going to be there on Friday. There's a gala event to kick things off. I'm going to be there gathering some interviews for the coverage on Sunday as well for PSN in the following week. So I will be there on Friday, and then I will be there most of the day on Sunday as well. So people can always come by, say hi, and we can chat sports or anything else that is on people's minds.
Well, cool you're bringing Luca on because there's so much happening. I mean, every day if people follow their social media, They're starting programs, talking about programs all over Canada. This thing has become so huge. It's unbelievable. Friday, though, speaking of huge, you've got another tremendous guest on the show.
Yeah, we got a familiar name and face in the sports world. CBC's Devin Haru is going to be on the program. He is going to look ahead with us to 1 year out from Milano Cortina Paralympics. Me and Nathan had some bold predictions about the Paralympics. We're going to get him to react to those and maybe see if he has one or two hot takes, bold predictions for the 2026 Paralympics. So you won't want to miss that episode.
You see him all over the place doing stuff, and since Scott retired, he has a definitely, he's stepped up, and I think personally the passion Scott always had for para sports, Devin has absolutely the same bug. They've been bitten by it. Yeah. He has it, and I think when you hear him talk and the engagement, the knowledge is tremendous. Alex, what fun you guys are going to have with him, and that's on Friday's edition of Parasport Nation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a blast, and I agree. He is definitely picking up the torch. He is that next generation of sport broadcaster, but specifically parasport broadcaster when it comes to the CBC. So I'm very excited to pick his brain about what he's looking forward to a year out from those Paralympics.
Good luck this weekend with the coverage. You guys are going to be tired out. This isn't your first time going down to the tournament, right?
No. I've done it many different times. I always enjoy it. And it's funny, Luca mentions in the interview, this is the biggest yet. Well, it seems every time I talk to Luca or Matt Morrow, anyone else, this is the biggest event. This is the biggest. Yes. They're always topping themselves. So it's going to be fun. There's new divisions, as you mentioned. There's new activities. It's just going to be a jam-packed week. And soon we're going to have to start talking about a Canadian Blind Hockey Week, Kelly, because they're not going to be able to fit it into a weekend.
Well, look how late they're going Sunday night. And we see this, as they move along, it just gets bigger and bigger, more and more people. Alex, have fun. Have a great week. It sounds like one. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks. Talk to you then.
AMI's Parasport Nation, of course, is right on after us here on Kelly and Company, Tuesdays and Friday editions of our program, available as a podcast and available on YouTube. Remember to check out our podcast, will you? Give us a rating and review and enjoy our content on YouTube. So join our YouTube page over there. Subscribe if you would. On our next show, this month marks 5 years since the start of the global pandemic, when workplaces shut their offices and the world changed seemingly overnight. So much has evolved since 2020 and right now, including sentiments and expectations in the workplace. A new survey from Robert Half Canada explores how things have changed since the start of the pandemic. Tomorrow on Kelly and Company.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.